Hello everyone, and welcome back to another True Crime Mysteries video. Thank you all for being here. Today we're discussing 4 more unidentified murder victim cold cases. With these cases, you never know who might see these stories and who might hold a key piece of evidence needed to solve them. Let's get into it. Number 4. Compton Jane Doe. For a first case, there isn't a lot of information publicly available, but this is what we know so far. It was on April 21, 1995, when human remains were discovered in a ditch in Compton, Alberta, Canada. The remains were significantly decomposed, with estimations that she'd been deceased for 10 to 15 years, putting her time of death to be sometime in the early to mid-1980s. Compton is a very small community in rural Alberta, with the closest city being Drumheller. The community is primarily farming and ranching, with a population of less than 500 people, which may explain why her body was never found for so long. A forensic expert examined the remains and concluded that Compton Jane Doe was 20 to 35 years of age at the time of her death. She was between 5 foot and 5'4". She had multiple stainless steel crowns as well as fillings, so she had undergone extensive dental work throughout her life. They believe she was mixed race with North African or Indigenous ancestry, though they believe she wasn't from Canada because she had contracted brucellosis at some point in her life, which would have caused her to have a debilitating disease impacting her life. Brucellosis would have compromised her immune system, giving her joint pain, fatigue, and frequent fevers. Brucellosis isn't an infectious disease found commonly in Canada, and it comes from consuming animal products from infected cattle, goats, and pigs. However, some have pointed out that Compton Jane Doe could have been in a residential school at some point in her life, as it was common for children to get sick from brucellosis there from unpasteurized milk given to children from sick animals. Compton Jane Doe doesn't match any missing persons cases in Canada, but if she had been put into a residential school, her family may not know or have been able to report her missing. Also, based on her bone structure, they believe she may have given birth at least once in her life. A cause of death could not be determined due to the integrity of the remains. She was found without clothing or any personal items. Maybe she had none to begin with, or simply had disappeared throughout time. It's too hard to tell. In 2019, a clay reconstruction was done to show what she may have looked like. Compton Jane Doe is one of 421 ongoing missing persons cases in the province of Alberta, and they hope that even after nearly 4 decades, someone might recognize her. Number 3. Little Miss Lake Panasoffkee. It was on February 17, 1971, when 2 partygoers made their way down Interstate 75 close to the Lake Panasoffkee Bridge in Sumter County, Florida. There they made a grisly discovery. Their Mardi Gras plans were halted as they realized they were looking at the body of a young woman in the waters below. The 2 were able to flag down a passing state trooper, and what would unfold would become one of the most bizarre Jane Doe cases in Florida. The Sumter County Sheriff's Office quickly arrived at the scene and began their investigation. A man's size 36 belt was still wrapped around her neck, and it was clear her assailant had thrown her into the waters below from the bridge. Her remains were heavily decomposed and in a state of putrefaction. The coroner would later determine that she'd been deceased anywhere from 2 weeks to 30 days at the time of her discovery. The woman was transported to the local coroner's office for an autopsy. In their initial findings, the coroner ruled that the woman was between the ages of 17 to 24, possibly of European descent, with long brown hair and possibly brown eyes. At some point in her life, likely between 1967 and 1970, the woman had undergone the Watson-Jones orthopedic technique on her right ankle. This surgery entails 2 holes being drilled into the ankle with tendons being fed through them to combat instability. Harris lines were also found on the young woman's bones, a key indicator of malnutrition or illness in childhood which affected growth. Fractures to her ribs 1 and 3 were also found and determined to have occurred perimortem, or closely occurring at the time of her death. One thing stood out to investigators was her teeth. The woman had undergone extensive dental work in her short life. She had porcelain crowns and silver fillings, which were costly procedures. Copies of her records were sent to dentists throughout Florida, but nobody recognized her. She was found wearing a poncho with a green and white print, green plaid pants, a green t-shirt, and a white gold Baylor watch, a yellow gold ring with a clear stone, and a thin gold necklace. The ring was worn on her left ring finger, indicating she may have been engaged or married. The coroner had also determined that she'd given birth at least once in her life, although it's possible it may have been twice. All attempts to uncover the woman's identity have failed, and this is when the Sumter County Sheriff's Office began calling her Little Miss Lake Panasoffkee, after the lake she was found in. She was eventually laid to rest in the Oak Grove Cemetery in Wildwood, Florida. In 2012, the Sumter County Sheriff's Office exhumed Little Miss P again, following a 1986 exhumation. DNA samples were obtained and sent to George Kamenov of the University of Florida's Geology Department. Kamenov performed isotope testing on Little Miss P's teeth. He discovered a high concentration of lead in the teeth and was able to pinpoint her origins to be near Athens, Laveron, or Lorum in Greece. Kamenov was also able to determine that Little Miss P had only been in the U.S. for 10 to 12 months before her murder. On November 30th, 2012, a bizarre new lead would emerge. A Greek TV station discussed the case of Little Miss Panasoffkee. The TV station opened up its phone lines, and in one of these calls, a distraught woman claimed to know the identity of Little Miss P. The caller told the host that the girl in the sketches resembled a girl she knew named Konstantina, who attended the Deme School within Kefissia, Greece between 1969 and 1970. Young girls were sent to these schools to learn to cook, clean, look after children, and speak English. These schools hoped then to send the girls to the US and Australia to work as nannies or to attend university. She went on to say that in 1970, when the two graduated, she was sent to Australia whilst Konstantina was sent to the US. Konstantina and other 1970 graduates were the first to travel to their prospective countries by airplane, so it was possible that records exist. Weeks later, the segment re-aired, this time with a photograph from the caller which highlighted Konstantina. Many have drawn parallels to the sketches and approximations of Little Miss P and Konstantina, although the caller added that Konstantina's brows were thicker and her cheeks chubbier. Since this episode is aired, there's been little movement on the case, and investigators continue to try and uncover the identity of Little Miss P and her killer. If you have any information, you're asked to contact Detective Darren Norris of the Sumter County Sheriff's Office at 325-569-1600, quoting case number 71-0291. Number 2. Compton Jane Doe. On September 13, 1975, residents of Compton, California were met with a disturbing discovery. Just off the 700 block of West Artesia Boulevard and Wilmington Avenue, the body of a nude black teenager had been found dumped at the side of the road. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department were called to the scene and immediately determined that she'd been shot twice in the head. Her body would also tell another shocking story. Investigators determined that she'd likely been thrown from a moving vehicle, which proved to be the fatal injury, not the 2 shots to the head. The area in which she was found was an industrial area, and there were few witnesses. The Los Angeles County coroner, who performed the autopsy, commented that the girl was black, between the ages of 14 and 17, 4'11" and 5'2", and 90 to 110 pounds. She'd been deceased just hours prior to her discovery, giving them a strong hope of identifying her quickly. Jane Doe is described as having short curly black hair, brown eyes, and 1 to a 1.5 inch scar on the instep of her left foot. She was found nude but was wearing the following jewelry: a gold ring with a large black stone that contained a smaller gold flower, a silver or white gold ring with 1 white stone and 6 green stones, a gold bracelet, a white gold or silver bracelet, and a white gold or silver keychain necklace. Despite her being found nude, there was no signs of sexual assault, and according to the Doe Network, all toxicology screenings came back negative for alcohol and other substances. Several months passed, and despite a few appeals, nobody came forward to claim her. Unfortunately, Jane Doe, or Jane Doe 51, has received little to no media attention, unlike other Jane Does in California and beyond. Shortly after her discovery, she was cremated, and DNA, dental, and fingerprint samples were taken for reference. The NCMEC and NamUs have created approximation sketches of what she may have looked like in life. Anyone with information is asked to contact Sergeant Frederick Reynolds of the LA County Sheriff's Department at 323-533-1004, quoting case number 18735, or Betsy Magdaleno of the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office at 323-343-0512, quoting case number 1975-11050. Number 1. Perry County Jane Doe. On June 20th, 1979, a stonemason working on Route 332 near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, made a startling discovery. Over an embankment close to the Juanita River lay the remains of a young woman. The Perry County Sheriff's Department was called to the scene, and the investigation commenced. Unfortunately, there's little information surrounding the circumstances in which she was found. The Perry County coroner performed the autopsy and noted that the remains were badly decomposed and primarily skeletal. Due to the state of the remains, the coroner was unable to discern a cause of death. However, it was recorded as a likely homicide. At the time of the discovery, she'd been deceased for months, possibly even a year, before she was discovered, with the tentative death date of late 1978 being set. In the report, the coroner noted the remains belonging to a white woman aged 50 to 38 with light blonde or light brown hair who was 5'2" to 5'9". The woman has come to be known as the Perry County Jane Doe, and she'd suffered a fracture to her 9th rib in her life, and by the time of her death the wound had healed. The Doe Network notes her extensive dental history, reporting no signs of disease or trauma. Dental records indicated her first right molar was removed 3 to 4 years before she was murdered, and was hypothesized that her right second molar had also been extracted. Her dental records were circulated to dentists across the state, but nobody recognized them. The most striking piece of evidence lay not with her bones, but with what adorned them. She was found wearing blue wool knit pants with red thread, a white lace blouse, a dark blue tank top, a tan-colored jacket, a white bra, red and gray socks, and white leather buckled shoes. She also wore a silver Avon bracelet, a sterling silver Native American turquoise oblong ring with matching earrings, necklace, and another sterling silver ring with black onyx stone. Investigators quickly discovered the jewelry may have originated from the Navajo and Zuni peoples in New Mexico and Arizona. This discovery led investigators to these states and wondered whether she may have been a victim of a southwestern serial killer. Composite sketches of the Perry County Jane Doe were placed around town, but sadly no one recognized her. It pained investigators to think that nobody was out looking for her. Months after she was discovered, she was laid to rest in an anonymous grave. Her case has received little coverage and attention over the years, but the Perry County Sheriff's Office and coroner have never forgotten about her. There have been several efforts to uncover the true identity of the Perry County Jane Doe, also known as the girl with the turquoise jewelry. Recently, new dental x-rays were conducted, which showed anomalies that contradicted the initial report. Initially, investigators believed that she'd only had one molar removed. However, this new x-ray suggests that at least 2 had been removed, although there's no sign of crowding or disease that would have prompted this. Overall, her dental hygiene was good, signaling she had access to care at some point in her life. In 2008, the girl with the turquoise jewelry was exhumed for further testing. DNA samples were obtained and run through CODIS, and there have been no matches so far. In 2008, Dr. Christine France of the Smithsonian Museum Conservation Institute analyzed 3 samples from Jane Doe: a hair fiber, a bone fragment, and a tooth. Dr. France was able to undertake isotope analysis by examining the hydrogen and oxygen molecules in these samples. Dr. France concluded that Jane Doe likely grew up in the Great Lakes region or southern Canada. Evidence also suggested that shortly before her death, she left the area and spent time in the southwest United States. These results lined up with the indigenous jewelry she had been found wearing. Her details and photographs have also been sent to Canadian authorities, but they too are just as baffled. In 2018, NCMEC released a new composite sketch that they have created using a CT scan of her skull. Redditors in the r/Grateful Doe subreddit have made several suggestions over the years as to her identity. The first is 17-year-old Cheryl Ann Moser. Cheryl disappeared from Sencane, Pennsylvania sometime in 1977. According to reports, Cheryl was last seen walking to meet a friend. Another suggestion is Connie Gail Minchika, a 17-year-old girl who disappeared from Napa, California on June 9, 1978. Both Cheryl and Connie were said to have been dating or involved with biker gangs at the time of their disappearances, and may believe that the two were met with foul play. Anyone with information about the girl with the turquoise jewelry is asked to contact Trooper Scott Danish at the Pennsylvania State Troopers at 717-671-7500, quoting case number H05-0149355. Alternatively, you can contact the FBI VICAP at 800-634-4097, quoting case number 2011-03-04, Jane Doe 23. Well, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. As always, if you want to support the channel, the easiest way is to hit the like button. You can also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next upload. Other ways to support the channel by joining my Patreon or channel membership. I also have merch, and you'll find all the links in the description box, plus a few extras. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter for more, and new is Twitch. But with that being said, thank you so much for being here and supporting what I do. It is very much appreciated. That's it from me. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.